the parade. And my initial thoughts are I think 25 games probably feels right. I think that's appropriate, but they made sure that it was long enough so that he wouldn't be eligible for any awards, right? Because we know some of those rule changes came in earlier in the year. So hopefully it's enough to make him feel it. We've heard him apologize before. We've seen him issue statements again, maybe that he had help with from an app, but we've seen him issue statements, before apologizing. So I don't know if this time is going to do the trick, but we will see. Zena, what were your initial thoughts when you heard about the suspension?
I thought the same thing about the 25 games, and in the sense of, okay, it's fair that he won't be able to get any awards, but it feels doable. I mean, like if I'm Ja Morant, I don't feel completely relegated out of this season in the sense that I won't have an opportunity to make an impact. And I really just feel like he just needs to stay with what he's saying. The fact that he's only gotten 25 games, he's not suspended for a year, and Nike, his sponsor, who he just launched a big shoe with, is saying, we're on your side. We're pleased that you're taking accountability. We're excited to see you stay the course, and we'll continue to support you. This is good for Ja. This is an opportunity for him for real redemption. And it would just be such a cool redemption story for him to actually, to make these mistakes and then come back. Because we know too often, most athletes don't get that opportunity.
Yeah. Mike Smith has taught me well, and he always says we let our company speak first. So Marcus Thompson, Ja news broke. What were your initial thoughts on the suspension and the amount of time? I think you may be on
Not
mute,
you on
Marcus.
mute.
You're on mute, I believe, Marcus.
He said he's not on mute. I can mouth read very well.
Marcus I did my job.
So Mike, what did you think about the suspension?
Yeah, Marcus, we're gonna get you figured out. I'll go ahead and take the baton here, bro. My initial response when I saw it was, "Oh, that's it," because I guess we had built it up to be, some kind of half a season, if not. Yo, Marcus, you there?
All right. We got you now.
Too.
Well, check, mic check, 1, 2. Turn my mic up. Mic check, 1, 2.
Yo, turn my music up. Turn me down.
Turn my headphones up. But I'll just be quick and I'll give it back to you, Marcus. My initial reaction was, oh, that's it, because we had expected it, especially since Adam Silver said we'll wait until after the finals to announce it. It felt like it was going to be 50 games, maybe even a full season. But when I saw 25, I was like, oh, that's not bad at all. But really, the number wasn't the most important thing to me. The suspension to me, all I care about when it comes to Ja Morant is this a wake-up call, a true wake-up call, and not a snooze button? Because he lost a bunch of money not making All-NBA. He lost a bunch of money from his 8-game suspension. This is now 3 times that amount. He's going to lose pay for this suspension. And most important, there are conditions. It's a conditional 25-game suspension. Yeah. And provided the league is serious and provided he meets those conditions, he'll be back after 25 games. If he doesn't, then it could be longer. So whether it was 25, 50, a season, all I care about is that my man gets his shit together. Once and for all, because this has gone too far, whether it's the social media or the other incidents that he's alleged to have been a part of. It's time. Enough's enough.
Yeah.
And hopefully this is enough to actually, truly get attention and bother Mark reading his statement, because I don't care what he says. I care what he does at this point or doesn't do.
Yeah, and the union, they actually already put out a statement, saying that they don't really like those conditions. They feel like it's arbitrary. So I don't think it's going to change, but they don't completely support the ruling that's come down from the league. Marcus, I know we got you now. You were going to say? Oh my goodness. We lost Marcus again.
Well, we ain't letting them be great.
Yeah, we're not trying to let Marcus be great.
I think it's my fault. I think it's my fault. I think I'm too many. I think I'm one guest too many. I'm taking up the bandwidth.
What y'all doing?
Okay, here it is.
There we go. Go ahead before we lose you.
Stop playing with my mic. What y'all doing? I got something to say. The South got something to say, Mike.
Go ahead, Marcus.
All right, so I'm
Go ahead,
not
Marcus.
surprised at all. I figured it'd be about 25, right? Like that makes sense. But I can't believe I'm saying this because I like you, Mike. I want Ja to get it together. I need him to get it together. There's so much potential here for Ja Morant, right? Like he could be the face of the league, and he's really blowing it. And I want that for him. But at the same time, I must admit, this makes me a little bit uncomfortable. I don't like the parental tone of it. I don't like this idea that somehow this is about like, hey man, we doing this for the betterment of black people. Like let's just judge Ja on Ja. Let's not try to make this about a referendum on culture. Like it just feels weird coming from the NBA. And the reason I say that is because if that's the stance we're taking, and I'm 1000% against what Ja's doing. I think it's wrong. I think he's being like incredibly not smart by doing this. I do think it's harmful. I do think it perpetuates yourself. Like all that stuff is true. I just don't know how I feel about the NBA playing the role of like, Cornel West, Dr. Harry Edwards in this matter, and suspending him with that tone. That's the part that makes me a little bit like, all right, these are the same arenas where I hear, Soulja Boy talk about Superman that hoe in. It's like, we got some elements that we really can talk about if you really want to get down to it. Like, just judge Ja, based on his behavior, and leave like the savior component out of it. To me, leave your issue, Marcus, the people. Okay. Yeah, I don't.
It's the language.
That's the part that just makes me feel a little bit like, I don't really like the way that feels and sounds, right? Like, because in the bottom line is, if this was a white guy, you would be saying, well, on behalf of suburban white guys, we got to suspend you because of the example. You ain't doing none of that. Like, so don't.
It's reminiscent of Allen Iverson, right? When they came down with those guidelines on how to dress and how to do your hair and all the above. Like when you're the poster child and you're supposed to be the best, but you don't fit the narrative and you don't fit the aesthetic of the league, they're going to use you as the poster boy of, we got to get you in line. And that is, I agree with you from the start. Anyone having conversations around, he waved a gun. I agree. I don't think it was smart, just like you, Marcus. But it's strange for the NBA to be talking about something that isn't illegal in general, right? And so I think a lot of people had an issue with that in the beginning. But yeah, it gives me very Allen Iverson vibes of trying to get someone in line to fit the aesthetic of the NBA too.
Yeah, I think, that's what's tricky about this.
Marcus won't be like you. What the actual problematic language was for you? Just I want to make sure I understand it that you're saying, because I may have missed some of the, the phrasing that you're talking about. I just want to make sure.
I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but the whole idea that Ja is an example for children, and we want to correct him so he could be a better example for children. And just talking to people behind the scenes, like, that's the talk. And I just feel like the care of black children doesn't begin with punishing Ja. Like, if we don't really talk about this, there's a lot of elements we could talk about the NBA. Because to me, if we really want to go there, like, let's start talking about the materialism of black children, right? Let's talk about some of the messages that we send. And, me, I'm old school. I'm a little conservative, about it. I feel like, hey, you shouldn't be having guns and all that. But if I'm not out here acting like Ja's the savior of communities either. Like, Ja is just Ja. Just judge him for Ja. That's it. Let's leave the social component out of it, because when it's coming from the NBA, this is the same league that instituted the dress code. This is the same league that prevents black men from working until they turn 19, right? Even though that's kind of anti-American. Like, there are other issues where it's like, well, hold on. If this is the concern, we should probably do some things a little bit differently. So let's just judge Ja on Ja's own behavior, because his behavior is worthy of punishment. We don't need to bring in this other element that I don't think the NBA is positioned to be an authority on.
Okay, you know what? I appreciate that nuance there, Marcus. But I'll say this. Okay, maybe the NBA is the wrong messenger, but the message stands for me. And here's what I mean by that.
1,000%.
Like, because I don't remember them saying black children, but black or white children look up to Ja Morant. Both of them look up. Both all groups of kids, NBA fans globally, look up to Ja Morant. And as we know, we want to really get honest about this conversation. And I know you guys will, but for those at home, there are different connotations and stereotypes associated with black people and guns, when the majority of the people committing mass shootings don't look like the people on this program and don't look like Ja Morant. So we have a gun issue in this country across the board, regardless of color, of background, of socioeconomic status. Having said that, Ja Morant, all of them are watching Ja Morant, and it is problematic when you see somebody that, sorry, Charles Barkley, he is a role model, and he is waving guns on social media, being reckless with guns. And the other part about the legality of it, or the lack of illegal activity here, or even just, and I've seen this a lot when it comes to a lot of this the conversation around this, is like, oh, you got politicians, having guns on Christmas cards. And, white people, this is about black people not being able to bear arms. I said 1,000,000 times on this show, I got a lot of guns, more guns than I need, more guns than my wife wants me spending money on. I don't go around flashing them. And so I'm not here to tell Ja Morant what he can and cannot own. And I'm certainly one for black, legal, responsible gun ownership in this country. On the other hand, the NBA already told you, stop flashing your guns on social media. So I'll echo you, Marcus, and I'll say this. This is about Ja Morant flashing guns on social media. This ain't about black people or black children and guns. This ain't about whether it was legal or not in an open carry state. Dude, stay on social media. Have all the guns you want. You ain't got to flash them. We suspended you 8 games for it the first time. It didn't get through. Hopefully 3 times that amount will. But I'm with you, Marcus. The NBA, there's this old song. Remember them records that they used to play on TV, like the hits? Like if you could buy, you order dial like a 1-800 number, and you get this old school R&B record. It was a gospel record, and it's all, this song is always in my head. Sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine. Remember that song? They used to play on TV all the time.
You are such an
That's what
old
I think
man.
about when you talk about the NBA. Sweep around your own front door.
Not the gospel.
Oh my goodness. All right.
I think Steven Jackson posted that not that long ago. I think Steven Jackson posted that to troll Laker fans. Yeah. That's what happened. They'd be like, let me borrow your album, man. He like, nah, my brother, you got to get your own.
Yeah, and I hate to be this person because I think ultimately everyone here wants Ja Morant to be able to thrive and succeed, right? So we want him to rebound from this and stop the foolishness. But at the end of the day, I agree with Marcus on the tone. I don't like some of that, but at the end of the day, this is about a contract. This is about like an employer-employee relationship, right? And it's
you better lawyer it up. That's what this really is. You're right.
And like the fact is, you're governed by additional rules, right? Like that. Others are not, and that just is what it is. It's like when I was still practicing law, like I had to make sure there are certain things I just couldn't do because I'm an officer of the court, and there would be additional penalties for me. And so it's not anything illegal, but as his employer, they have the right to govern his actions, but also just knowing that you were already in trouble for this, like it's just not smart to do it again. So,
yeah, but to me, I'd feel a little bit better if they just kept out the conversation part about, like, because look, what if Ja's just not a role model? Like, who said every black NBA player who's a star got to be a role model? Nobody say, what
but we get into the Charles Barkley discussion, right?
But here's the thing.
Like,
but they are. I just
how does the NBA get to determine? How does the NBA get to determine who's a role model and who's not? Like that's just.
But guess what? But guess what?
In the NBA, you are a role model.
Right. Yeah, but it's not even just the NBA, guys. It's not even just the NBA. So that's the case. When you are a prominent black figure.
I understand that. But we got to police more than just this then. How about we police fatherhood? How about we police how you treat Black women? How about we police all this stuff? Like, are we just talking about
that's
this?
a conversation, right? And I agree with you, Mark.
I'm saying nobody want to have that. Like, how about?
We want to have that. I think some of us do want to have that conversation, but they've determined which is
real.
Go ahead, Zena.
What's hard about this whole situation is that you're absolutely right, Marcus. These topics extend beyond just the situation of all the things that we could police. That is a conversation we need to have internally in our community. What's awkward about this is that this is playing in a public setting, right? Where other people who are not in our community are having say or influence in the way that our community should police itself. And that is what's unfortunate about this. Now, that being said, heavy is the head. Right? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. You know, if you are going to be a prominent Black figure, whether you're an NBA player, a politician, a person on television, anything, heavy is the head that wears a crown in the sense that you, unfortunately, represent your people. I work at The Athletic. I know 2 people, me and another Black woman, that are the Black women on the headquarters side of The Athletic. Every room I'm in, I am the only Black woman. No one's policing me. No one's giving me guidelines or general conditions on how I should behave, but I know how I have to represent my community. And that is the thing that regardless of the NBA, regardless of whatever, of him, his employer, Ja Morant has to know is that I know this feels uncomfortable, that your employer is the one putting you out there to be the role model for Black children and all the above, but you have to know that for yourself beyond all of this. And that's what he's saying. I think that's what his tweet was saying today. And that's the point that we're trying to get is like, NBA, you should have judged him for just Ja Morant. But Ja Morant, you got to judge yourself for knowing who you are in the community, too.
And I feel like we can judge him. Like, I feel like I can say
we can, right.
But
like, yo, bro, come on,
I agree.
man. Like, you killing me, Smokey, right? Like, I can have that vibe.
That's what I'm saying. It's our community can do that. But it's just awkward because it's NBA doing it. Yeah, I agree.
And speaking
guys,
of
this was a great.
you're killing me.
Wait, what, Marcus? What? What?
No, Ja is like killing me. Like he's got it right there. It's all right.
I know
there.
it's all for the taking, and he just wants to just.
Come on, man.
It's silly.
He's got it. We're cheering for him. He got it.
And this is why Adam Silver did not want to release the Ja news.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.